pause on any slide that you wish to take your time and read what I'm writing. Hi everyone, it's Lisa. Thank you for joining me today. I'm hoping that you'll consider sewing along with me and making this beautiful LeMoyne star. The features of this star are as follows. We're going to be making it from 2.5-inch strips. And if you've got some old strips that you don't know what to do with and you're interested in developing your technique so that you can make this traditionally pieced star, then grab them and I will give you the measurements for the other components of the block at the beginning of the video in the notes below, and now I'm going to tell you what they are as well. We're going to use the method of oversizing our insets and trimming our block down so that we always know that we'll have at least 1/4 inch, and if we have any sort of wobble, bob, or weave during our construction of this block, it will be accounted for. So we will be oversizing our squares. This is a 3 5/8 inch square. This is a 1/4 square triangle. You may cut that by taking a 5.5 inch square and cutting it 4 times, like so. Note that on each diagonal you're going to have bias. So this is bias. And if you prefer, and I sometimes do because I have strips that are sometimes easier, you can just do your straight line mark and measure, or just simply take half of 5.5, which is 2.75, and you can then cut your strips from, cut your triangles from, from a strip. So this is not the right size strip, but this is, essentially how you would do it. And you would line up your 3.5 inch line and then make your cuts for what you're using. And because we are using oversized strips, we are always going to be working from the inside to the outside of our blocks. So there's not going to be anything for you to match out here. We are rather working from the interior to the exterior. There are many ways to make this block, and I've tried probably all of them. I had better success with some than others, and once I glom together these techniques, my failure rate on the block is very small, if at all. Frankly, I haven't made a block that I haven't been able to use. So the test of a good process and method is that an average person, and I am an average person, can complete it and have good results. This is the traditional way of making the star. It does not employ cheater rulers, and I don't say cheater on the ruler as a pejorative. Deb Tucker's Rapid Fire LeMoyne star is a wonderful wonderful ruler. I've also used the stitch and flip method, which is also a wonderful technique that you can use. But my goal was to make this the traditional way because I actually like the way it looks. I think it looks so clean without having seams in it. There is another method, and this is truly a cheater method, and it's not a LeMoyne star, which is using half square triangles. And you use that method, but don't call it a LeMoyne star because that's truly a cheater method. And I'm not recommending it. I don't like it. I don't like the way the stars look. They always look crooked to me. And the beauty of having seamless fabric in your diamonds means that you create visual harmony to the eye for the beautiful fabric that you're using. There are 3 key construction techniques that I'm going to be employing in making this block. And this is in choosing all the methods that are out there. This is the method that I like to use. Edyta Sitar's 8-pointed star tutorial is excellent, and I'm going to link to that, and I hope that you'll watch that. What she does is sews her stars to her pairs of diamonds together, and then sews the pairs together to make a half, and then sews the half together. So what you're left with is basically a star with no insets. I found that method to be best because when I used other methods, I found that I did not get the join that I wanted here. Again, a lot of people use other methods that do these insets and then put things together. It didn't work well for me, but you might have better luck with that. So the key to any of this is to find methods that resonate with you and that you can execute perfectly to get your desired outcomes. The next method, I credit Nancy Roelfsema with suggesting. She said it as an offhand comment in one of her videos, and that was upsizing the insets so that you can trim down. When you employ that very simple method, what you do is you give yourself room to wobble. You don't want to wobble, but because there's so much bias in this particular block, and you think about your half square triangles or your flying geese, we all sometimes experience wobble in that. And I always employ oversized methods with any block that has a lot of bias in it. So this block has 4 times the bias of any other block. So why wouldn't you upsize? So as soon as I started upsizing my insets, I had very consistent results. So that is my cheater method, and I'm proud of it. And I thank Nancy Roelfsema for that. And then the last method is Shar Jorgenson's beautiful exposition of how to make an X seam versus a Y seam. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to show you how we can simply sew off the corner of our block. And you know what? I'm looking at this seam and I'm see that lazy finish? That's a very lazy finish there. And you can see I wobbled, but it doesn't look bad on the front, but it is a poor execution on the back. But I'm going to show this to you up close and personal on the machine. And because you are stitching to the end and you're having secured stitches, you are making this a very easy corner to execute that doesn't involve a lot of starting and stopping. Now we're still going to have to deal with stopping short on each of these points. So for each of our diamonds that we're sewing together, we're going to stop 1/4 inch from the end of our diamonds so that we have room to sew our inset. So you're not going to get away with that, but I've got some tools that I think will be helpful to you. All right, I'm going to put this away and I'm going to set up the tool list for you. I think the key to the success is having the right tools no matter what you're doing. And I don't even have all the things that I love out here. So you need your marking tool of preference. I use either a pencil or a micron Pima pen, which does not bleed. I use and recommend the Ultra Pro by Havel Seam Ripper. It has a very flexible blade, and it will help us unpick if we've gone a stitch too far, or if our spa corners, and I'm going to tell you what a spa corner is later on. I think that Marty Michelle's deluxe corner trimmer is a must-have in the quilting room. It does two things that are, actually does three things. Number one, it's got a hole at the 1/4 inch, so you can always set up your 1/4 inch on your machine, and get your scant quarter as well by clicking over one. It has the 1/4 inch points at every one of the typical diamond and triangle shapes that we have, and you can see these on the ruler. The ones that we will be using is the 135. This is the most important one because it's the diamond shoulder. And the other one that we'll be using is the 90 degree. I don't make any marks on my insets, but I will for you so that you can see how the two interrelate. But the most important thing is we are going to clip our corners on our insets, and that's going to allow us to nestle when we're working with this. This is going to nestle against the lower shoulder of our diamond, and that's going to give you a visual cue for you to know that that's what you're working with. The other thing that we're going to do is simply clip one corner of our square to do the very same thing. The other two places of our square do not require our corners to be clipped. All right, you'll need a rotary cutter, put a fresh blade in it. You will need fabric manipulation tools. I highly recommend these Precision Eagle Beak tweezers, but you can use whatever you like, but this is the best efficacy for me. You should have a stylus that you use. You can use this, or if you have an Appliquick tool, that also gives you excellent fabric manipulation. It's just a little longer, and that might be awkward for you at your machine. But this will help you guide your units under your foot so you don't get lazy finishes like I showed you on the other thing. So if you grab some fabric, grab some 2.5 inch strips, let's make 2 stars together, because I can also show you how to chain piece these, and that is also going to be a huge time saving method. So make 8 squares at 3 5/8 and get 8 insets, cutting from either a 5.5 inch square on both diagonals or a 2.75 inch strip. If you have a corner clipper, go ahead and clip the corners. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do this. And this is not a lot of money. So if you don't have one, get one, and then sew along with me as we make this beautiful block.